Not worried though. They saw that and they still banned out another carry. It's just Flark.
Yeah, that makes sense too. When the Bloodseeker's banned out, that's the other one that doesn't want to play versus Bloodseeker at all.
Is there anything that you can, like, can you pretend, because you don't have last pick, right? You can't really flex anything that could go for and carry, much like the Weaver, right? So you kind of have to show your hand here. And it's going to be a Morphling, a 23 Savage special.
Okay.
Some diverse damage here as well, right? That we've been talking about. Something to deal with the DK. A lot of single target now, but still lacking that team frame.
It's a good PL game now for PSG LGD. Any kind of mana burn, they really lack AoE. Legion Commander is decent to one extent with overwhelming odds. Other than that, these heroes, they really do not like to play into PL.
Morphling too. There's a lot of burst damage that what I assume is going to be, it could potentially be either offlaner. It's going to be either DK or Magnus plus Snapfire. I've seen these Snapfires when you're laning versus Morphling. You go Scatter Blast 2 points early, so you can try to get those like quick kills on him in the laning phase. Also, Morphling versus Breathe Fire. That's percent damage reduction versus high agi, and there's Enfeeble in the game. Enfeeble, I think something is also is an ability that's extremely undervalued. I think versus a hero like Morphling, it could be pretty brutal.
Because of the cast point reduction, right?
Yes, cast point reduction and also attack damage reduction, health regen reduction too when you're trying to strength morph. You can't do it as good versus Bane too, and they're going to get Ame on his Terrorblade.
So, closing thoughts here about the drafts. Fogged first. Strengths and weaknesses you can see about, let's say, PSG LGD.
T1, for PSG LGD, they have a super well-rounded draft, scales into the late game absurdly hard. Also works really strong early game because they have various different types of push and ways to take objectives. I think they've hit everything on the head for the side of PSG LGD.
Give me some strengths for T1.
T1, they have Crystal Maiden Aura, so these support and Legion Commander, of course, Lina, will benefit quite a lot from that, so that will allow them to cast a bit more spells in the laning stage, play a bit more aggressively, but I gotta say I'm leaning towards PSG LGD. Whenever I see their lineup, I'm like, this lineup does not have any weaknesses.
Well, we know where the draft panel is leaning towards, but we need to know what to look out for. And that is why on the sidelines we have BSJ waiting for us with his last word.
Lấy tảo rồi nha.
Thank you, Dr. BSJ. Suns fan here with Synderen. We have quite the matchup here. My good friend. Great to be with you as always. LGD versus T1. You're supposed to...
Oh, I'm finishing your sentences.
Sentences, that's right. Yes. T1, this is going to be quite the showdown. T1, of course, got off to a bit of a rough start in the group stage, but have bounced back looking a lot like they did back in the Animajor. And, of course, LGD virtually untouchable.
Yep.
Do you think that this is going to be what everybody hopes it to be, which is a 3-game series?
I'll be honest with you, I think LGD are just such a strong favorite coming in. Like when you have a group stage where you go 15-1, aren't you kind of supposed to be 2-0 in the first game of the upper bracket, almost no matter who you face from the other group, right? A team that's 10-6 or 11 and... Let's do some math here. 11-5.
You're doing great. Keep it up.
Like whatever stats you have, when you there's just that gap. When there's a 15-1 team, it's basically a team that's playing more or less flawless. And even though both teams start in the upper bracket, I do think LGD with a clear are the clear favorites here. I will say though, a team like T1 has this ability, especially later on in tournaments. We talked about this during the group stage when we were casting them. They're a little bit slow starters sometimes.
Yeah.
And they ramp up a lot and get that momentum. And we've seen them get some really good placements at major international tournaments this year. I could definitely see them take a game or even the series, but you need to play 100% today to beat this team. LGD just have been looking incredible. The one game they dropped was against Team Secret, and look how they played yesterday against OG.
Yep.
That was no joke. Absolutely rolled them, especially in game number 2. So it's very, very telling. As far as the strategies go, can't say too much here. It's way too surprising. I think the teams are largely sticking to their identities, especially LGD getting solid team fight, a clear late game winning condition, and the ability to fight and sustain their lanes. It's kind of, if you want to break down Dota in a simple way, there's like 3 things you want your compositions to have right. It's laning prowess, it's some sort of catch and way to start fights, and some sort of way of ending the game. And then, okay, maybe let's say 4, you also want to be able to take Roche, right?
Right.
And it feels like they have everything. The biggest weakness is probably the ability to take Roche, but you still have at least the Snapfire, Little Shredder, plus Terrorblade with Empower. So you can get it done.
Yep, that's very true. Keep in mind, if you are watching on Twitch, I was told by my good friend Buka that cheering is now enabled. So you just hover your mouse and you hold the button for as long as you want, and a cheer explodes afterwards, Synderen. Very good stuff. Expecting that top area to be lit up the entire game as a result of adding so many people.
There's one thing I know about Twitch chat, it is that if there's anything you can click, they will click. That's true. And then again, and then again.
The analytics don't lie. A lot of people are clicking. We had to like triple the servers to be able to withstand the clicking. But nothing to say. We'll be mid on the Davian, aka Dragon Knight, versus Carl's Lina. This is kind of a, I'm going to say, a bit of an old school match. We don't see Dragon Knight as often mid anymore, but what are your thoughts on this going forward for the laning stage?
It seemed like a specific response pick, right? I would think this is a lane that Lina does well in, especially after the nerfs to Dragon Blood. I think Dragon Knight fared better if you go back, what's that now? That nerf was like 2 months ago or whatever. But specifically because LGD picked it into the Lina like this, I would imagine they do feel like this is one of the better matchups. Obviously, Lina kind of doesn't lose to anyone mid. Yeah. So it's about, okay, what hero can we get that fits our game plan that also doesn't suffer too hard? And I think Dragon Knight is one of the heroes that does better, but would still expect just theoretically Carl to come out on top in this lane. But we'll see.
Definitely has a better ability to flash farm and whatnot, but the issue with that is if you go to the jungle, then Dragon Knight could do considerable amount of damage to the tower. But we've been seeing a lot of that into the off lane or the safe lane, like basically not mid. The DK will just transition to another lane as well. So we'll see what they choose to do this time for PSG LGD. Gotten to cast a few games of T1, but mostly our cast of T1.
Oh, Nightmare bottom. Nightmare could actually be in trouble here.
The reflection is there with the right clicks with that Metamorphosis. He gets off his swarm, press the attack, does give him a little bit extra HP, and will live as a result. But T1, good to see them kind of bouncing back after that first day of group stage, because a lot of high hopes for them, especially in the SEA region. They played out of their minds at the Animajor, but it felt like after that they were kind of a hit or a miss. They weren't as consistent as we were hoping. Of course, part of that could be the fact that they qualified for TI and whatnot, but good to see that they bounced back here. But again, they are against the juggernaut of this, and not just their group, but the entire TI right now in PSG LGD.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back the last couple of years of TI where it has felt like there's been that clear of a favorite after the groups. I'm not sure if that was the case.
LGD was 1 year, but they didn't win. Yeah. Third place, I believe. We're going to see a skewer here from Faith Beyond. Whitemon in quite a bit of trouble. I think he's resigned to his own death here, but Jin might get right-clicked down by 23 Savage as well. Looks like it'll end up being likely a trade of sorts as Faith Beyond just needs a couple more right-clicks with that Shockwave. So 1 for 1, but First Blood is the way of T1.
Yeah, goes to the Crystal Maiden. It's going to grab the boots and maybe a little bit extra regen here, heading back into lane to help out 23 Savage. So yeah, a nice little head start for them up in the top lane. I think overall still though, Magnus is thriving. This is a very good lane matchup for Magnus. At least in the beginning, Magnus just has overwhelming damage. Even when Morph is pretty far into the agility, he just hits so hard with the Quelling Blade plus Empower bonus. Aw, they might kill Savage here almost. Jin Q,
quite low, but they're going to turn this around, and then Jin Q, waveform, couple more right clicks, down he goes again.
Uncharacteristic. I could see what he was going for there. Thought he had the burst, but then the punish is just so easy for T1 there. That's
it's
very, very good news for them in that top lane. The kill going to 23 Savage as well will almost equalize him with the Magnus now.
And nothing to say in the mid lane is 20-7 in terms of CS, and the other side 17-2 for Karl. So nothing to say, doing really well.
I mean, I may just be wrong about the matchup. I don't know.
Nothing
if
to
this
say is a god. as well, right?
I think Karl's laning on Lina in general has been really good though. So I haven't watched the lane super closely this game, but just in general across the games he has played Lina, he generally does what he's supposed to do. So perhaps LGD have found a hero here in this patch that can win against Lina.
Dragon Tail. There's going to be a considerable amount of damage from nothing to say. There's no real rotations coming in, so I don't think a kill is able to happen as Karl.
Oh, missing that LSA could have almost killed him. He needed one more hit and then Soul Ring into Breathe Fire. There is a Fairy Fire on Karl, but yeah, nothing to say. Is honestly kind of bullying the Lina. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Not something you see every day.
Maybe my read on the matchup's just wrong.
Jin Q trying to backstab here, but Karl on his way to triangle here to pick up that bound. Okay, yeah, Y makes a nice transition.
He's gonna kill him here.
Yeah, the Nightmare with the right clicks. It looks like Zephyr. Oh, he does have one more Shukuchi.
Why misclick
Gonna find
there?
his way close to Jin Q. Just does not see him thanks to the fog, so gets off the Hell Salve, but
I think Y did attack ground and hit the Weaver bug once instead of the Weaver there. Needed that one extra attack, so that failed attack will send Weaver back to base instead of the Grave. It's still good, obviously, and this mid pressure is mounting very quickly.
yeah, just the forced out just allows the Dragon Form to apply all that pressure that we kind of talked about to that tower. So already at half HP, and Karl, I mean, he's losing mid, but not by an astronomical amount by any means, but the fact that it's even that point is crazy, considering it's a DK versus Lina. He's gonna connect. Cuckoo, he's done. So PSG LGD evens it up in terms of the kills, but you can see there's still a 1K net worth lead for them.
I mean, you say you're not losing by an astronomical amount, but you're a lane dominator and you're 500 gold behind minute 6. This feels like a big loss to me.
Is that astronomical though? So,
I don't know. The universe is very big.
yes.
So
they
you're probably right. It's just a.
I just want to mention that Twitch chat is starting to fail a bit. The top is not glowing as much as I would like. Could you
Click
please
button.
correct that? Thank you. Really appreciate that. We see the top net worth right now is Ame on this terribly. How is this game looking for him in terms of like a theory crafting, just as a TB game overall?
Outside's pretty damn good. The one hero you picked into that. Oh, hang on.
Yep.
Mid lane.
Dragon Form, Y in the vicinity. Swarm comes out as well, but a nice LSA. Karl has his ult and nothing to say will drop as a result. And Y taking some right clicks as well, so double kill for Karl. Nice rotations from T1 overall. Jin Q gonna get caught by the Frostbite. This could be a triple kill for Karl. Indeed,
Nice move.
Talk about a bounce back for T1.
Really, really good rotation, bringing in both supports from two separate sides and just connecting all of the spells there, getting the vision down as well, pre-play in that mid lane. Very, very good. They bring Karl back into the game in a big way. He's actually ahead of Dragon Knight now. Can you believe it took a triple kill to get 50 net worth ahead? But
not bad.
At least you got there. As far as the Terrorblade goes, I think it's a very good game for TB. The primary concern you have here is probably the Morphling E-Blade, which has been traditionally a counter pick actually to Terrorblade.
Yeah.
But they do choose to pick it into it largely because of what I think, because of what BSJ said. This is a very good Crystal Maiden.
Initiation, Y gets off the Nightmare. Nothing to say is in his Dragon Form as well. You can see Whitemon taking most of the damage here, but there's the duel. Karl doesn't have that much mana to expend, but the LSA should be enough. Is nothing to say. Takes another death in this game. Again, great rotations from T1, despite them being the ones getting initiated on.
I thought they had the Dragon Tail ready on Dragon Knight. That's why I called the CM dead on the spot there, but it was still on cooldown from a little bit of harassment he had done earlier. Obviously level 1 Dragon Tail, 16 seconds cooldown. And T1, they get another good move, really putting a lot of emphasis on this mid lane, and it's paying off. They're still not ahead on gold, but at the very least they're like stopping the bleeding in the lane that was suffering the most. And I think if you want to win this game, you need Lina to be strong, because I don't think Morphling is going to cut it alone against Terrorblade when you're playing against two BKB piercing disables. That has got to be a concern for 23 Savage. You need to play around Fiend's Grip as well as RP. You could take off one of them with press the attack theoretically. All right, don't get ahead of yourselves, cheers. It was just a little bit of harass on the board. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I was like, oh, what's happening top? Oh, it's Little Shredder.
Good effort. That was a good effort cheer, no doubt. We have plenty of room for those for sure. So As you can see, Ame still at top of the net worths right now. Carl working on the Boots of Travel as 23 Savage now in the jungle.
Whitemon, Nightmare.
Yeah, might be shown here. The Nightmare Frostbite exchange. 23 Savage. Whitemon will fall first, and 23 Savage did turn into that Snapfire, but he's in a 1v3 situation. Gets skewered to the other side, still has Waveform. Will be going into the cover of the arms of Carl, who gets off Laguna Blade, but no resulting kill here.
Very, very big one there on Y. Not sure how many charges he had, but
is under attack.
We need a replay in SFM of that double cookie exchange.
How
that
did
was
one
great.
of them get stunned but not the other?
I don't know why. He's going to be spotted here, but we'll get the Nightmare off with a couple more right clicks. He doesn't really have anybody that near him, but it is just a support Weaver, of course.
Avoids the swarm. He has Dust. And if Zephyr is feeling cute here and trying to take the bounty, he could find himself dead, but, well, Xingqiu.
Yeah, Zephyr just being a very annoying presence. Has nothing to say. Almost has his tower dead to rights. And the question is, will they get the deny? Likely yes. And that's going to go to
CM deny.
Yeah, if I were a betting man, I would have lost a lot of money on that one. No doubt.
I don't think Crystal Maiden gets many denies in a tournament.
That's
in
true.
general, including creeps. But
so Faith Beyond is going to be playing, as you can see, the Magnus here. Magnus TB combo. What are your thoughts on that going forward?
Terrorblade has pretty high base damage in Metamorphosis, so he makes for a pretty good empower target. You might not think about it conceptually as a melee hero, which, you know, a lot of the time Terrorblade is in melee form farming.
Yeah.
Doesn't really need empower as much as other carries do, since he has illusion farm. He just split pushes waves while farming jungle with his main, for example, but it still adds up. It gives you that little extra efficiency, and especially in Metamorphosis, the damage increase can make a very big difference.
You know, I was theory crafting that plus the shard for Terrorblade would be really good, but we haven't seen that yet, sadly. That's
so Terrorblades have
Demon
got... Demon Zeal has been... I think I've seen it a couple of games in the tournament, but I don't think they've bought it.
Basically, it just allows you to stay in your melee form for a lot longer and not really lose out on much. There's nothing to say in the triangle now. He is going for the Blink Dagger first, so nothing to say. Typically, we were used to seeing him as like the mobility type heroes, burst damage. DK is obviously not quite that, but he's more the initiator and building destroyer, as it were. See how that fares to them here. So, I mean, so far, obviously, off to a very good start with his 2K net worth lead.
Yeah. PSG are just being super efficient, right? Like you're 3 kills behind, you got the triple kill mid for Lina, but fact of the matter is they still end up losing their mid tower around minute 10.
Yeah.
And both Terrorblade and Magnus are having more or less a free game, especially Ame is completely untouched with all of the emphasis they had to put on nothing to say in mid. Ame has 10 CS per minute right now.
Well, I think one of the reasons LGD is so good is because of their general flexibility. Like, nothing to say. I just talked about how different of a role that is, technically speaking. And oh, we're going to see the stop it.
The Centaur
helping out. Very unlucky. And that's going to be a kill going the way of Ame again.
3v1.
Yeah. Very sad. That Centaur has some other agendas on the mind, no doubt.
Yep.
But oh, we might see some action in this top lane. Nothing to say. I mean, Dragon Knight's not really one of those heroes that's going to take up that much space farming, so that leaves Faith Beyond to get really big. There's the stun into the RP. Do they have enough damage to take out the Morphling? Yes, indeed they do. And T1 burning. Absolutely getting crushed right now. 3K net worth lead. Nightmare. Do they have the vision? Yep. The time lapse in place just for the HP, but double kill goes the way of Xingqiu, and a tier 1 tower to fall as well. But
talk about getting value out of a rune. He got 3 kills set up with that invis plus the tower, and one of them is that big Morphling on the enemy side. So huge here from PSG LGD.
And T1 do get the tier 1 mid, so they get some sort of a trade at least.
Oh, Carl? What you doing, buddy? Is a dagger on the way, I think, for Dragon Knight, but will be a little bit too late. So Carl gets out of there. Very dangerous position to find himself in. Going for the standard Lina build here with travels into BKB. Like I talked about before, the concerns from Morph, they're kind of shared here with Lina, right? You get BKB, which you feel like you have to against some of this control of the Radiant side, including like Dragon Tail. But you're still susceptible to RP as well as Grip, so you can't in some games you can get this BKB on Lina and you feel like
Radiant's bottom tower is
Superman,
under
you know,
attack.
for a while in
Yeah.
these fights. It's just not going to be the case. You still need to keep your cool and maintain really strong positioning.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Good news for
Radiant's
T1 though,
bottom
Cuckoo
tower
is
is
about
under
to get
attack.
the dagger. in
Well, bad
200 gold.
news is that PSG LGD now have 2 daggers to work with.
Yep.
So expect them to ramp
As
it up
always, you
even
focus
more.
on the negatives. Thank you.
Well, that you could look at it as a positive for LGD. Why does that have to be a negative, Cinder?
That's actually very true.
Technically true, and technically is the
yeah.
best type of true.
That is, I love it.
Whoever said that is a genius.
Yep. That was probably me then.
Yeah. Ame working on, looks like he has the Falcon Blade Yasha, so Scotty looks to be next. Is there any reason to, I mean, is he skipping the Manta for now and just get it later? Actually, he probably has, maybe he is finishing Manta now with just the recipe to go.
I think he's just gonna skip it. I think he gets
Yeah.
Yasha as the value item here for farming speed, and you can. I don't think
It's
Manta.
not much to dispel, so.
Yeah, exactly. It's not much to spell. There's Frostbite, but you're gonna play around that. Probably.
Oh, nothing to say. Spots the smoke. Blinks in, gets the initiation. It's just Whitemon. So at the very least for T1, that's a silver lining.
Yeah, I need to get the hell out of there. Triangle gonna get dewarded now.
Yeah.
They are pinging that there should be a ward there. None of them have a sentry though. So, oh, they have one on nothing to say
Yeah.
on the Dragon Knight. Just checking both supports, but that was something they were talking about in the panel as well, right? That these players, LGD are pretty creative about how they distribute their wards, and that time around, I believe nothing to say gets it. Keep in mind as well, something that's been in the game since this entire change with getting gold for dewarding, it is the player placing the sentry that gets the gold here. And
That's true.
That obviously means if you're in a commanding position and you make a team move, you can funnel extra gold into your cores by letting them deward instead of having supports do it. So, depending on the circumstance, I think having sentries on, in theory, every hero in the backpack could actually be kind of cool, right? Because then whoever needs the gold the most can be given the gold at any given time. It might be something that LGD are taking more advantage of than other teams.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those changes that you, I mean, that was of note for that patch, but taking full advantage of it.
Sorry, I said the person that placed the ward. I meant the person who buys the ward. Right?
Cinder, everybody knows what you're saying is correct, okay?
Yes.
Even if what you say isn't.
But like, imagine
That's
this.
the beauty of it
Imagine
all.
in the game, every player buys one sentry, right?
Yeah.
You buy a sentry and you bring it with you, and then whenever you make a move, you can choose who gets the goal. It's kind of,
Dire's bottom
it's like
tower
very,
is under attack.
it's a very, very detailed play, so to say. But
Dire's
when you're on
bottom
LGD's
tower
level and you
is
min-max basically everything, you could see why they would do
Right.
something like that. I do think it was his own sentry, right? It does display that Nothing to Say got the gold at least, so I do think he bought it.
4K net worth lead now for LGD. And you had to think that's just going to increase thanks to this Empower being placed constantly on Ame with that TB, allowing him to just take Ancients without having a meta. And Carl, at the very least, will get this tier 2 bot. So it does have a BKB.
That's a
boost
tier
to
1
travel
Shannon.
right
That's
now.
the first tower.
That is the first tower.
Yep.
What did I just say?
Tier 2. But he probably said tier 2 because it was the second tower of the game.
Second tier 1 tower, Cinder. Let's get a cheer for Cinderin for correcting me. Really appreciate that. Let's get cheers in the chat. Appreciate that.
Radiant's bottom tower
Looking behind
is
me,
under
the crowd
attack.
loved it.
Yeah,
I was,
Ricky is
getting
very
some-
proud of you.
yeah.
All right, Scotty online. Is this the go time? Because ever since they picked up these Blink there, they haven't really done that much. They had that one smoke gank that just resulted in one CM kill.
There it
But
is.
now they have Scotty. Thank you.
There's
Thank
the
you,
cheer.
chat. Really
Thank you.
appreciate
Very good.
Man, that's actually a lot of fun, not gonna lie. Now we have, okay, but just like I
5-man
said, so
smoke.
Scotty is go time.
I'll
PSG
scan.
LGD, they might just go for Roche potentially. Probably would prefer to get a pick off beforehand.
Yeah, and they might just find Zephyr here.
Zephyr?
No ward
Well,
though.
Yeah.
Okay, there's smoke
counter smoke
breaks.
now.
Yeah.
Why?
Why not?
Area, but doesn't look like there'll be a resulting kill, at least not yet. Kuko, in the meantime, has his armlet. We've been seeing that pretty much every game on Legion Commanders, along with the Blink Dagger that you mentioned. So they have some counter initiation
Dire's top
possibility.
tower is under attack.
But with the looming RP potential, that is the scariest thing for T1.
Invisibility.
For sure. I do think that was a really nice play there from Zephyr, though. He was hiding behind the tree line and had the ward in front. So as soon as that smoke breaks, he can immediately just Shikuchi away. And they have a very hard time finding the opening on him. So basically just a safe breaker there. And with superior vision right now in this area, Kuko's kind of potentially thinking about this. They will see the wall.
RP
Not getting it off.
cancels at the very least, but it's going to cost Faith beyond his life. I don't know if that was just perfect timing or if that was actual reaction. Overwhelming odds comes out. Carl continuing to chase. Don't think they want to go high ground. A little bit too sketchy. Only a 25-second death timer. So not enough time to really go for Roche, but the smoke from T1 trying to wrap around. But you can see the positioning for PSG LGD. There is the initiation. That's going to be the first duel victory for Kuku. And when it's this early in the game, it's really difficult to go get Roche because the timers are so low and they didn't really expend anything. RP's still online. Like if he had used his RP, then maybe.
Yeah. Important there for Faith Beyond to cancel it, right? It was a very quick reaction from both players, really. He blinked up and RP'd and canceled it immediately as soon as the Legion commander blinked out. Like, this is some really fast reaction. So you see the courier here finding that observer ward, so they know that's the case. Really, really close to blowing the RP there, but Kuku obviously with that ward pre-placed had his finger on the blink button and got out. And all right, only 1k lead now for PSG LGD. That was the biggest gold swing that T1 have had go their way in the entire game.
Yep, absolutely. As we're going to see Whitemon get picked off.
RP.
RP.
Nice press.
Okay. Well, that didn't result in much. And here's the duel onto the Dragon Knight. By that down Whitemon, but it looks like the damage is going to go the way of the Dragon instead. It will be a trade of lives, though. And that is a dieback on the Whitemon. And we'll see if this is enough for PSG LGD to try to go into the Roche pit. It's 2 dead.
So you know when you buy back and die again, the timer gets added on top?
Yeah.
I wonder how many extra death seconds he got out of this, because he was alive for like a good 1 second after teleporting in.
Yeah,
so that was
that's a long time.
A net loss, trying to overtake Puppy's record of time spent dead at TI here. Whitemon.
Wow. Well, his is more out of quantity than anything, though, right?
That's true. He's got a lot of ways to go.
I mean, I'm sure you can compete with that despite only playing in a couple TIs, right?
That's a good joke, Sunsfan
Thank
TV.
you. Right, appreciate that, Sundar. Let's get a cheer for that joke in chat, please. Really. Carl. TP's back to base. Not sure why I mentioned that, but he has the Shadow Blade. Arcane Rune is bottled, so that's kind of a big deal. But like you said, despite that fight, still only a 1k net worth lead for LGD right now.
Wait, hang on. I just realized, who was it that had the most time dead? Puppy was 3rd on that thingy. On the words fail me today.
Eloquent as always. 65%. Is this,
who was first?
Is this surprising to you?
Shannon, tell me. Who has the most time spent dead? It was not Puppy.
I don't know.
Was it Coral?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Puppy was 3rd.
This is the TI main stage, Synderen.
Yeah, it was a nice graphic.
For God's sake.
Graphic was the word. It came to me in a dire moment of need here. What I think about the win expectancy being 2-1.
Oh, you're going to have to hold that thought. We got a duel coming in.
All right.
And Kuku gets some more damage. Oh, okay. That's a random centaur from the Helm of the Dominator from Mr. Magnus.
They're gonna go for this. They know there's no RP.
Yeah.
And
another 10 seconds though, so it's coming in a bit close.
Oh,
we got the horn toss. Whitemon dead again. He's just racking up these deaths, but Kuku and company, E-Blade's not going to be enough to take out Faith Beyond. He's going to have RP now. Zephyr taking quite a bit of damage, but will back up to safety. And I think T1, you can see the Mortimer's Kisses. This is definitely going to force them back. And the Dragon Knight initiates onto Kuku, has to press the attack himself. Looks like he will be able to walk away safely, though.
It's just looking like a potential PSG LGD Roche. 5 seconds on Metamorphosis.
And they're smoking.
They have RP, and they do have a really good ward here.
Carl gets Dragon Tail, but there's the press the attack save. 23 Savage able to blow up wide. Does have buyback though. There's the skewer back into the Laguna plane. They're not going to be able to get the kill, but it's going to be a trade either way. Magnus not able to get off his RP. Pretty big deal, but a big cookie from Jin Q. The follow-up from Nothing to Say. They will have enough damage to tear through him. 65 seconds of no Lina.
That shard on Snap is so good. We already had a highlight clip earlier today, pre-match, when you saw Jin Q, I believe in one of the qualifiers, hitting a nutty one of those, and that one, another high-impact play, stun into stun into stun, into death.
Yeah.
They probably had a lot
Now the save is not enough, though. Press the attack. Usually a fail-safe. Not this time around. Just too much damage to work with on LGD's side. And that should finally mean Roche is conceded.
Gotta go the way on Ame here. Working his way now toward a BKB. Just wants that safety against primarily the E-Blade, you would imagine, but also against the Lina Light Strike Array. It is a real feels good item. Also helps a little bit against Crystal Maiden, who, you know, CM has this reputation of just falling off, right?
I thought you were going to say dying a lot.
Yeah, well,
she has a lot of reputations.
That's a part of
I
it.
think. Yeah.
The thing is, over the last many years, like if you haven't watched too much Dota, Crystal Maiden has reached a point where she can actually scale pretty well and have really high impacts in the later, mid to later portions of the game, primarily because there's just more gold in the game. And Crystal Maiden benefits so much from getting items like Dagger and BKB, which sounds like a lot, but it happens more frequently than you'd think. In this game, though, Whitemon is at the bottom of the food chain.
Yes. This is looking like a patch from like 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah,
2.5 years ago.
Very, very poor, and it just means you're food. Like, he dies to literally 3 attacks from Terrorblade. If he gets caught by anything, he's just gone. So Whitemon, there's a lot of pressure on him to stay very, very far back, get in a good position, and more than likely just accepting that Freezing Field is going to be exceptionally difficult to use here.
Yeah. Well, you do have press the attack shard, Synderen.
That's true.
To give you a brief moment of magic immunity.
1.75 seconds of ulti there.
Very good.
He could actually still
like
just
you
die
said,
to terribly.
Either way, they have 2 BKB piercing stuns.
If you get one of those on the Maiden, you're probably happy, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have Dragon from nothing to say. Dragon Tail, Faith Beyond, skewers back into the fray. An easy pickoff for LGD again. Still holding that Aegis for another 3 minutes. We'll see what they can do with this Dragon form. They'll likely go for the tier 2 top.
Yeah. Queuing up his own BKB as well. Seems like LGD are trying to hit a timing here with double BKB on Terrorblade as well as the Dragon Knight. Obviously, Terrorblade gets it a little bit earlier.
Yep.
But that is going to be a really big problem from T1. From a damage perspective, if your Lina is pressured in the fight so she has to run away, I don't think you can kill anyone in BKB. This Morphling build is not good against BKB. You have Linken's as well as E-Blade. There's none of that like strong right click, such as like a Butterfly or a Daedalus. Nothing of that kind. LGD are just going to go for it. Go high ground. 25 minutes, you have Aegis, you have all your cooldowns.
Yeah, why not?
Dragon form is running out
online. There's the Metamorphosis, and the tower is going to fall very, very quickly.
T1, your base is burning. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
No fortification available either.
They're actually just giving this lane up because Cuckoo's dead. They can't defend.
Yeah. Can't blame them. Still 2 minutes on that Aegis. So like you said, it will be a completely free set of racks for LGD, who now sport an 8K net worth lead. Carl.
Just so clean, right? They see that they have enough time for this. They grab exactly what they can, get out, and lose nothing.
Yeah.
That was even with Dragon Form expiring about 2 seconds into the push, but they're just so confident.
Oh, he gets the Nightmare off. That's the Aether Lens. Look at that ridiculous range. Of course, has Fiend's Grip if they really need it, but it doesn't look like it'll come to be. Oh, press the attack. They're actually going to expend RP. This is a really important kill.
Oh, they also grip.
Finally taken out. Does take quite a bit, but nice catch there by Y.
Yeah, that was a little bit of miscommunication on LGD's part. They end up using both RP as well as grip through that skewer. But I don't know if T1 realized, so perhaps they're still going to be scared of the grip. I think Y canceled it very, very quickly. Yeah, that's a big pick on Carl and LGD, just straight down mid.
Yep, still a minute to burn.
They want to force the buyback, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't blame them. The E-Blade.
They get it.
Yeah, DK looks fine for now, but there's the duel. Can they save him? Carl pops a BKB, trying to create as much space on the sideline as possible. Laguna Blade blows up the Bane in the meantime. Eventually, Cuckoo does fall. It's a 2-for-2 with the buyback now onto Carl. And with that, PSG LGD will back away. Oh, they find the Horn Toss onto Zephyr. Gets the time lapse off the full HP again. Still working on the Aghanim Scepter for himself, which is another turning point potential for T1.
Very, very close to
T1 gets something.
Yeah, they do. It's expensive to buy back your Lina, though. And just as expensive, you saw in that exact situation, if Bane had Fiend's Grip there, I think they win the game, almost. Like, they would have just gripped the Lina. But Carl could go there straight in, kill off Y, and at least build up a little bit of momentum in the fight for them. It's still not looking great for T1, but you can be a little bit hopeful if they are the ones to get the initiate, or when, like you said, the Weaver Axe is a big item in this game against both RP as well as the Fiend's Grip. trying to keep heroes alive. I believe the Fiend Script should still be channeling. If you do get time-lapse, it sticks on you, basically, but the repositioning can be easily enough to save you, especially against Terrorblade.
Middle tower is under attack.
Oh, Zephyr!
Yeah.
Hello.
Showing here. Oh, the shard into the cookie. Goodbye. You talked about the power of Jin-Q shard, and when you combine that with a blink dagger, it is very hard to avoid, even as a weaver.
He was not expecting to find enemies there, but PSG LGD have that ward sentry combination. They were ready.
Radiant's bottom tower
And
is
look
under
at the
attack.
another easy
discrepancy
kill.
between 1 and 2 here, between 23 Savage and Ame.
Yep.
That is pretty gigantic. And it's just growing from here. So Ame, what is he working on now? Obviously finished the Manta a while ago into the BKB and has his sight set towards Chrysalis. And then for 23 Savage on the other side, you talked about the Linken's. I mean, would you change this build in any way? It feels like Linken's is almost necessary, but at the same time, I mean, Linken's doesn't feel that bad on Morphling just because of the stats nature to it, but
Yeah, it's
you're still
rough,
lacking
right?
some damage, right?
Yeah, you are. Maybe he wants to bypass BKB entirely in his build and just trust Cuckoo to press the attack, the biggest key spell. But it still needs the Linkens against the Bane, and I think his item build is fine. It's just, like you said, you need more, and the problem is LGD have been ahead the whole game, just pushing in your waves better.
Yeah.
So Terrorblade will be that one major item ahead. And as far as Ame goes, he doesn't have a defensive item similar to Linken's. He has the BKB, which is super high impact for the type of team fights that LGD's lineup plays. It's very high burst. You get an RP, you get a grip, you get a Dragon Tail, and you just commit and go. The only thing you've had to worry about the whole game until now was that press the attack, but now there's a second quote-unquote press the attack from Zephyr. And this is a smoke timing for T1. They're gonna go for it.
Yeah, and this is
Obviously
going to be the
revealing
Axe
themselves.
reveal, like you said. So we'll see if PSG LGD play around that or not. But it could have huge impact, as apparently only one buyback in the game right now, for nothing to say.
Yeah, he
That's,
also has a gem, and he's holding a very strong high ground position. Jin-Q
Oh, yeah, he
in
spots him
Glimmer
out.
Cape into Blink.
Dire's bottom tower
All right.
is under attack.
Yeah, they thought that somebody was high ground, but they didn't know he was invisible as well, as Ame is going to show bot lane. And it looks like this tier 2 will fall as a result.
Just masterfully done from
Radiant's middle
LGD,
tower
right?
is
They
under
avoid the
attack.
smoke play, they get the stronger position, and they get a tower. So effectively, T1 smoke to lose there. Usually, the worst case scenario when you smoke, if you don't find a fight, is that the enemy team hides, but you gain some ground. You didn't even gain ground, you actually lost it.
Into the jungle, LGD goes. It's not an insurmountable lead for T1 to try to come back from.
Cool.
That was felt like a longer TP. Not sure where he ended up, but oh, it was just in the fountain. Maybe not. Cutting it close there. Still working on his BKB. And second Roche is available. Who gets the shards?
I was gonna. You said it first.
I mean, Faith Beyond already has his, right? So.
You do a really good Sunsfan impersonation. Did you know that?
Oh boy, that's an insult. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe you get the Demon Zeal. I'm not sure actually this game. This is could go for the
I
Dragon
think they will.
Wells. Okay.
I actually think they're gonna give him the Zeal.
Alright, yep, there it is.
Yep.
You will consume it. So Demon Zeal, basically costing 20% of TB's HP, and you get movement speed, attack speed. While in melee form, you get even more.
It's a double up.
Yeah. Pretty strong, and especially when combined, like we talked about, with the Empower. I mean, not that he's having trouble farming right now, Synderen, but this will add it to another level. As Faith Beyond, get the skewer up into the Dragon Tail, and White Mon again. The crowd goes wild, yeah. They really like watching Crystal Maiden die.
I was like, damn, he only took 2 hits like expected. He even has a plate mail. Like, imagine if he
that's
didn't on
true.
the Maiden. It's tough times to be a Crystal Maiden in this game. You get caught by literally anything, you're just gone. So, easy
She's
pick
quite
there.
slow, sadly. So Ame, I guess next item for him is actually just going to be the completed Daedalus, which I would assume takes the place of his boots if his Aegis is still in his inventory.
And worth keeping in mind when you have Satanic like this, Demon Zeal just feels good to use. You restore your health so fast anyway, so using it in fights, sometimes that can be a double-edged sword. Yeah, you get more damage, but you also take 20% health. Usually when you have Satanic, it doesn't really matter that much. All you need is to get in one attack when you're starting to struggle, and you're going to get all of that health back right in, and here we go.
And here we have Meta popped again.
Oh, Carlos in position.
Oh, the skewer back with the horn toss set up into the RP, but no! Press the attack waveform is enough to bait out the RP. And T1, see if they want to try to take advantage of this. I mean, they're going to have to if this continues to go in LGD's favor with this push. E-Blade onto Ami. You can see the jump in from nothing to say with an overwhelming blink being shown as Carl has to pop his BKB, and there is the duel. Do they have enough damage for the Sunder from Ame, allowing the duel victory to go the way of nothing to say. He's just going to walk that one off, but 23 Savage can't block that one off. That is just too much damage to withstand. And Carl jumps in. This is going to be the beginning of the end, I do believe, although 2 buybacks come up for T1. The Metamorphosis is running out, but again, he has Demon Zeal to work with. Bane's going to take a tumble. Whitemon drops to the deck as well, 1 for 1. Laguna Blade, Ame getting extremely low. That's just the Aegis, though. Carl completely out of mana. Nothing to say, is still alive throughout all of this, some way, somehow. They're just going to play all the pressure to the racks here. This will be a dieback onto Carl. And it looks like that is going to be enough to GG out of game 1. And like we talked about, Synderen, T1 have looked really good after that first day of the group stage. But LGD are just on another level of everyone so far. Just game 1, though.
Do you know what LGD stands for, Sunsfan?
What's that?
Looking good, dominating.
God, that is awful.
Thank you.
You know how to kill a